Hello there, everyone. My name is CM Freeze, and welcome back to another Mock Draft Monday. The NFL free agency officially opened up last Wednesday. I'm recording this Sunday night, so it has been 4 days since free agency officially opened up. Now, technically, the legal tampering period was Monday, so it's been a full week, but they couldn't actually sign free agents. Trades couldn't happen. The official league start day was Wednesday, which I believe was Wednesday the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not trying to think about dates too much. I didn't want to make a mock draft right away just because I wanted to give it a couple of days just to see what team signed what trades happened, because obviously with all the trades that happened, with all the new free agents that went to other teams, a lot of things have actually changed, and this mock draft is going to be a little bit different than the ones in the past because now we have actually seen the complete picture. There is still 6 more weeks until the NFL draft, so a lot more things can change. However, the draft picture is starting to come more in order. Now, this draft is not going to be with trades. However, my next NFL mock draft will be my first one with trades, but I just kind of wanted to do a post-free agency mock draft where, surprise, surprise, this first overall pick is going to be Cam Ward. I have been on Cam Ward since the Tennessee Titans got the first overall pick. I think I've given the Tennessee Titans Cam Ward in every single one of my mock drafts, and there's no reason for me to continue to stop doing that. The Tennessee Titans have the ability to get the best overall quarterback in the draft class. There's no guarantee they're going to be bad next year. The Tennessee Titans could go draft Abdul Carter, or they could go draft Travis Hunter. And if they do that, say the Tennessee Titans next year are only the 3rd or 4th worst team and have pick 4. Well, guess what? There's no guarantee a quarterback's going to be there at 4. There is a guarantee a quarterback is going to be here at 1. Cam Ward is hands down the best quarterback prospect in this draft class. Cam Ward has crazy good athleticism. He's got a really big arm. He is great out of structure. Now, in structure, he can definitely improve. His accuracy needs to improve. However, you can't teach his arm. You can't teach his improbability. You can't teach his athleticism. While he's not crazy athletic, he is much more athletic than Shedeur Sanders, and it's not like Cam Ward had a whole lot to work with. He had a couple of good weapons, but it's not like he had a crazy good team around him, and Cam Ward's defense sucked. I think he'll be great there in Tennessee. Let's be real here, Will Levis sucks, and you have a chance to go get your quarterback of the future here at pick 1. You take it. And especially since the Titans haven't signed a quarterback in free agency, makes you really think that it's because their sights are set on Cam Ward. Coming in at pick 2, again, no surprises. I'm still going to go Abdul Carter here. The Browns just don't really need corner. While yes, Travis Hunter probably is an upgrade on what they currently have, the Browns still do have Denzel Ward, and they still have... Damn, I'm blanking on his name, but I know that they have another good corner as well. The Browns have 2 really good corners. While you need as many corners as possible, and Travis Hunter could be the best player in this draft, I just think Abdul Carter is a much better fit. Yes, the Cleveland Browns have Miles Sanders and just signed him to a ludicrous deal of $40 million a year, the highest non-quarterback in the NFL. Myles Garrett is currently 29 years old, and I believe that it's, a 4-year contract or something like that, so he's going to be there for 4 years. Well, when 4 years is up and Myles Garrett is 33, guess what? Now you're going to have Abdul Carter in your prime. And currently, as of right now, you're going to have Myles Garrett teaching Abdul Carter. Who's the second edge behind Myles Garrett? Can you name me who the second edge rusher on the Cleveland Browns is? Because I can sure as hell not. I cannot tell you who that is. Abdul Carter is going to be an absolute beast. In a couple of years, when Myles Garrett starts to eventually slow down, you're going to have Abdul Carter to take the reins as your premium edge rusher. And also, it does not hurt to have 2 premium edge rushers. Look at the Houston Texans this year with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Both of those guys are absolute beasts. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles this year. You can never have enough pass rushers. Yes, they have Myles Garrett. Get him a partner in Abdul Carter. His Robin to Myles Garrett's Batman. Just like Batman, Myles Garrett does like to beat people up. I probably shouldn't say that, but if you get the reference, you get the reference. New York Giants here at 3. I am going to go Shedeur Sanders. The Giants to this date have not signed a quarterback. A lot of people speculate that maybe Aaron Rodgers could go there. However, it seems like Rodgers is going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the only two starting caliber quarterbacks really left in free agency are currently Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. And neither of those guys are long-term answers. In fact, I wouldn't even start Aaron Rodgers. If I was a GM for an NFL team, Aaron Rodgers would definitely not be anyone I even consider signing in the slightest. You need a quarterback. You need to save jobs. Shedeur Sanders might be the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft class. At least, I believe Shedeur Sanders probably is a little bit more pro-ready than Cam Ward, but just the upside on Cam Ward is so much more amazing. Cam Ward has a much higher ceiling than Shedeur Sanders has. Shedeur Sanders in Buffalo obviously had Travis Hunter for the last 2 years. While he didn't really have that much besides Travis Hunter, like as we all know, his offensive line was terrible. Shedeur Sanders was also very vocal about how bad his team was and how bad the offensive line was. And even in games when he was making mistakes, he still blamed his offensive line. Obviously, you don't like that too much, but the Giants, reports are they love Shedeur Sanders. They don't have a quarterback yet. Even if you do go and get Russell Wilson to a 1 to 2 year contract, you can still draft Shedeur Sanders and have him sit behind Russell Wilson for a year or two. Maybe teach him a thing about being a quarterback or playing the role of the quarterback off the field. But I just think Shedeur Sanders makes sense for the Giants here because there's no way that Tommy DeVito is going to be their starting quarterback going into the 2025 NFL season. And then the New England Patriots here, man, the Patriots have made so many defensive signings. It's kind of crazy. I know they signed a D tackle, they signed a corner, they signed a linebacker. The Patriots, and an edge rusher too, the Patriots are going all in on defense in the free agency, which makes me believe that this is going to be offense. Now, while they do need a wide receiver, and Travis Hunter could play wide receiver, a lot of people have Travis Hunter more as a corner than a wide receiver. Now, maybe Travis Hunter can do both, but you got to protect your franchise quarterback in Drake May. Yes, they went and signed Morgan Moses in free agency, but that offensive line is still bad. Go and get the best offensive lineman on the board, which is Will Campbell. I love Will Campbell. I think he is such a ball player, typical offensive lineman mentality, and I think he will get along incredibly well with Mike Vrabel. You look at Mike Vrabel and how successful he was in Tennessee, it's because he had a strong offensive line, and Will Campbell, I believe, can be the franchise cornerstone on that offensive line for the New England Patriots. Then the Jaguars here at 5, Travis Hunter has just kind of fallen into their lap. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you are ecstatic that definitely a top 3 player, maybe the best player in the draft class, has just kind of fallen to you here at pick 5. While I think that Travis Hunter can honestly go in any of those picks above, I just think that there's too much value at the other positions where Travis Hunter, who's a corner, which isn't as corner is not as valuable as quarterback, and it's not as valuable as edge rusher, and it's probably not as valuable as offensive tackle. That's just the harsh reality with Travis Hunter, is he's not playing a premium position. You look at the biggest positions in football, I would say that quarterback is number 1, and then your trenches are number 2, offensive and defensive line. And then kind of everything else you can really just fill in after that. Travis Hunter is the best non-quarterback, non-trench player in this draft class, maybe the best player in this class. The Jacksonville Jaguars have not had a good corner since AJ Boye and Jalen Ramsey, which was 5 years ago. So they get their corner of the future and someone that can maybe even play wide receiver there for the new Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, Liam something. I forget his last name, but it's something Liam. Raiders here at 6, this is hands down either going to be Ashton Jeanty or Tetairoa McMillan. I strongly believe that this will be an offensive player. You brought in Pete Carroll to be your head coach. You trade for Geno Smith. You don't trade for Geno Smith and not give him weapons. And so far, the Las Vegas Raiders have not given him any weapons, really. His wide receivers are Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers. A little rough. Yes, they have Brock Bowers, but it's like they don't really have a running back. I know they just signed a running back. I forgot who it was, but it wasn't anybody good, or anyone at least that's your primary ball carrier one. And while they do have Brock Bowers, it's like, obviously Brock Bowers is a tight end, and you need a lot of more weapons. This will be Ashton Jeanty or Tetairoa McMillan. I'm pretty confident on that. I believe that this will be an offensive skill piece. It's just if you're the Raiders, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Ashton Jeanty or do you prefer Tetairoa McMillan? There is not a player like any of them later down the board. Ashton Jeanty is hands down running back 1 in this draft class. His speed and power is just so rare that it's just incredibly rare. You don't see speed and power like that a lot. You look at guys like Saquon Barkley that have that and Derrick Henry that have that. I'm not saying that Jeanty's going to be Saquon or Derrick Henry, but I'm saying that you don't see that kind of speed and power in a lot of running backs, and the guys you do see that in are premium running backs. Or do you go get Tetairoa McMillan, who is 6'5", a massive threat? You think about Geno Smith and what he just had with DK Metcalf, a big target that you can just go lob balls up to. It's going to be really hard to guard both Tetairoa McMillan and Brock Bowers. So it just really, really depends on what you would prefer here. I am going to go Tetairoa McMillan here, but like I said, I could see this being Ashton Jeanty too. I would be stunned if it's not one of these two guys. Maybe the Raiders go defense, but then who's going to be your offensive playmakers? Like, so you got Brock Bowers, but seriously, you're going to roll with Brock Bowers and then whoever you draft in the second round, I guess? Jets here at 7. Mason Graham has just kind of fallen to them. Mason Graham, top 5 player in this class. You're able to get him at pick 7. You're able to get him on the defensive line. Jets just brought in Aaron Glenn from the Detroit Lions, who is their defensive head coach. He understands how important having a good defense is. Mason Graham and Quentin Williams is going to be a very, very scary defensive tackle combo for teams to guard. Then the Carolina Panthers here at pick 8. I could see this being so many things for the Carolina Panthers. This could be an edge rusher. This could be Armand Membo. They could do offensive line and try to protect Bryce Young. I think if Tetairoa McMillan's here at 8, this very easily could be Tetairoa McMillan as well, but I did just have him get drafted. Maybe this is even tight end as well. This could be so many things here for the Carolina Panthers. I think you kind of just go best player available that's not Ashton Jeanty because you don't need running back. So if you're the Carolina Panthers, who is the highest player on their big board? It could really be so many of these guys here. I've given Jalen Walker to the Carolina Panthers so many times because I think that's such a good fit. But this truly could be so many things. It's just really, like I said, who's the best player on the Carolina Panthers big board. For this mock draft, let's switch it up and go Will Johnson. Will Johnson, if he didn't get injured at the end of the season, was projected to be a top 5 pick. I remember earlier in the year, I had Will Johnson going to the Raiders at 6. And then obviously he got a little injury scare and he didn't perform at the combine, so his draft stock has kind of slipped a little bit. But I look a couple of years ago when the Houston Texans drafted Derek Stingley, and how Derek Stingley didn't play at all his junior season, and he still went 3rd overall based on just how good he was his freshman and sophomore year. Maybe we see something like that with the Carolina Panthers, who just locked up J.C. Horn for a very long time. They're going to want to give J.C. Horn a partner in Will Johnson. That could be a very scary cornerback duo group. Saints here at pick 9. Saints need offensive help bad. They really do. Their offense was abysmal last year. Besides Chris Olave, they don't have a wide receiver, like, at all. Chris Olave is kind of it. Now, Tetairoa McMillan did go, so it's who's wide receiver 2 on your draft board. There's obviously Matthew Golden, there's Iku Ekwonu, there's Luther Bader. What I don't like about Luther Bader is that Luther Bader and Matthew Golden are both kind of more speed guys, kind of like Chris Olave is. I would really want a big body threat. And you look at all these guys here, Matthew Golden, 6 foot, Iku Ekwonu, 6 foot, Luther Bader, 5'10". Or I think I switched it up. Luther Bader is 6 foot and Matthew Golden is 5'10". Not too many big body threats here for the Saints. I have gone Tyler Warren here basically the entire draft process, but the Saints did just sign their tight end, Juwan Johnson, to a 3-year, $30 million extension. To me, when you give a tight end $10 million a season, you don't give him $10 million to be your backup tight end. I think the Saints want to roll with him as tight end 1. So then where are the Saints going with this? Honestly, I think this would be a perfect trade down spot for the Saints. They could trade down and then get one of these wide receivers later down the board, like Matthew Golden, I think could be great for him. Like I said, I want a big body guy there in New Orleans, but there is no real big body threat wide receiver target here in the first round. Maybe you do Colston Loveston because he's more of a traditional tight end if you want Juwan Johnson to be more blocking for you. but this is just so tough here for the Saints. In a mock draft where you can't trade down, and I've talked about how badly the Saints need offensive help, I am going to go ahead and give the Saints Shemar Stewart here at pick 9. They signed Chase Young to a long-term deal. They still have Bryan Bresee. They don't really have an edge too. Shemar Stewart, an absolute athletic freak, but the production wasn't there. The Saints also still having Cam Jordan as well. Maybe Cam Jordan and Chase Young can help teach Shemar Stewart how to get more sacks. And even if not, Shemar Stewart is great at setting the edge and will open up more possibilities for Chase Young and Bryan Bresee and others to get more pressure. Like I said, if I was the Saints here, I'd honestly trade back and draft a wide receiver. But in a mock draft where you can't do trades, here we go. Shemar Stewart at 9. Ashton Jeanty to the Bears at 10. The Bears went all in on offensive line. They went out and they got 3 interior offensive linemen. While this still could be offensive line, while this still could be Armand Membou, I really think it could be. You look at Ben Johnson and what he had with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. While Miles Sanders was surprisingly a 1,000-yard rusher last year for the Chicago Bears, I really think that Ben Johnson is going to want a Jahmyr Gibbs of his own. And while Ashton Jeanty isn't Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean as in a bell cow running back who can really do it all. And Ashton Jeanty and Miles Sanders could be the Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery of the Chicago Bears. While they are different players, you got to just get the reference I'm getting in as 2 white running backs that can do it all, basically. 49ers here at 11. I've typically given the 49ers Will Johnson a lot because Tre'Davious Ward did walk in for agency. Will Johnson isn't here. If you're the 49ers, you just lost out on so many pieces. You lost out on defensive line. I mean, your defense basically just got gutted there. You also did lose Deebo Samuel as well. Again, I'm going to say this a lot, but I think best player available is really what's just going to be a lot of players. Is going to be a lot of what most teams do this draft is just a best player available. 49ers are another team that just have so many holes that they can really do anything that they want here. I really do like Armon to the San Francisco 49ers. They do need to improve their offensive line, but their defensive line also got shot as well. But I really do like the offensive line and the defensive line depth in this draft class. But with that being said, I could see the 49ers taking a chance on someone like Jaheed Campbell here at pick 11. They lost Dre Greenlaw in free agency, and they also lost a couple of edge rushers as well. They lost Leonard Floyd, and they lost Javon Hargraves. The 49ers now need a linebacker, and they need an edge rusher. Jaheed Campbell can do both. Jaheed Campbell, also an athletic freak over there in San Francisco. What I like about him is he can either drop back or he can blitz the passer. He tackles 2 birds with 1 stone. And like I said, with how crazy athletic Jaheed Campbell is, he can constantly move all over the field. He's just a great chess piece to have for the San Francisco 49ers. And when your team, especially your defense, just gets destroyed in free agency, you got to add more pieces to the board. And Jaheed Campbell, I think, does a great job of doing that. Dallas Cowboys here at 12. They get very lucky and Armon falls to them. The Dallas Cowboys have always prioritized offensive line, and right now, while their offensive line isn't terrible, they definitely can look for improvements on the left side of the offensive line. They could use another guard. They can use another tackle. They can do whatever they want with Armon. They can either put him at guard or tackle and just add another piece to a Dallas Cowboys offensive line that does need improving. Dolphins here at 13. I really think that this could be a dark horse spot here for Tyler Warren. I don't know if the Dolphins went out and re-signed Jonnu Smith, but I know Jonnu Smith's in his 30s, and Tyler Warren is also someone that can pass block as well as catch. He's a really good traditional tight end, and he's able to do both. And with offensive line being so bad for the Dolphins, but them also needing playmakers as well. They have Tyreek Hill, but he's getting old, and they have Jalen Waddle, but he just can't seem to stay healthy. I think Tyler Warren can be a great big body presence for a Dolphins team that is more focused on speed. Now, am I going to go Tyler Warren here, or am I going to go offensive line? Like I said, I could see this being either or. I really could. This also could be defensive line as well, but I think with the players that you have on offense for the Dolphins, they just need some extra pieces to really make it complete. However, who knows how much Tua Tagovailoa is actually going to be able to do there for Miami. But you know what? I am going to draft Tyler Warren to the Miami Dolphins. Like I said, it makes sense. I think the Colts are now pretty pissed off because we've been mocking a tight end to the Colts forever now, and none can ever make their way to the Colts. But the Colts this year, they lost their starting center, and I believe they also lost a guard as well. The Colts' interior offensive line got absolutely shafted on, and a player that I actually think makes a lot of sense here for the Colts would be Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. He is someone that can play center, and he can also play interior offensive line as well from North Dakota State. Now, will the Colts make this? The Colts are known for drafting athletic guys. It's kind of been their MO, and Gray did not attend the Combine, and obviously the Combine is hosted in Philadelphia, or in Indianapolis. So if we're going based on a Combine, Kelvin Banks Jr. did perform really well in the Combine. However, like I said, the Colts lost interior offensive line. So does that mean that Kelvin Banks is going to slide into guard? I don't really know. In this position here, like I said, Tyler Warren just got sniped from the Colts. I'm expecting that they probably would go Tyler Warren if he's there. And the Colts also did improve their secondary drastically. I know that they went and got Cameron Byam, and I know that I think they got Tre'Davious Ward as well. So they did go and improve their secondary, which really makes me think that this is probably going to be offensive line. And if you do the Colts' typical MO, I would say it's Kelvin Banks Jr. But what makes more sense for me personally is if they went out and got Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Probably won't happen, just knowing the Colts' MO. This will probably be something else. But if I was the Colts, this is definitely what I would do. And then the Atlanta Falcons here at 15. If you know me, you know the Atlanta Falcons are my team. Obviously, I got the Georgia hat on. The Atlanta Falcons are 100% going defense. And I would be stunned if this isn't either defensive line or Malachi Starks. Maybe this could also be, I could also maybe see this being Nick Amenawaru as well from South Carolina. But the Atlanta Falcons have pick 15 and then I believe pick 46. One of those two picks will be defensive line. Guaranteed. It's just with this draft class, defensive line is really deep. There are a lot of good edge rushers and a lot of good defensive tackles, and odds are there probably will be one in the second round for the Atlanta Falcons. However, Malachi Starks and Nick Amenawaru, who are the two best safeties in this class, and a step above the other safeties, will not be there. The Atlanta Falcons have Jesse Bates, but they lost Justin Simmons. They don't really have a strong safety. Malachi Starks could play both safety and nickel corner for the Falcons, which the Falcons do have Clark Phillips at nickel corner, but maybe they want another guy there as well. Malachi Starks will not be in the second round for the Falcons, but a defensive lineman will be. And as much as I think the Falcons should go Mykel Williams here or James Pierce Jr., I could also really see this being Malachi Starks from Georgia. Terry Fontenot, our GM, already came out and said that he loves Malachi Starks and he loves what he can do. And he could train behind Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates is on contract for 2 more years. I believe he's 31. Jesse Bates is still really good. But like I said, you only have him in his prime probably for the 2 remaining years of his contract. What are you going to do at safety after that? Well, if you draft Malachi Starks, he can learn under Jesse Bates for 2 years, and then once Jesse Bates retires, you have another Jesse Bates at your disposal, and a guy from Georgia as well. Keep him in state. I do not hate this. I really do not hate the Atlanta Falcons taking Malachi Starks here, but edge rusher also makes so much more sense to me, but they can get a good edge rusher in the second round. Which, Arizona Cardinals here at 16, I am actually going to go Kelvin Banks Jr. here for the Arizona Cardinals. And defense, they went out and got Josh Sweat, and they got Dalvin Tomlinson. This could be another defensive tackle as well. This really could be. But with them double dipping in free agency on the defensive line, it makes me think that offensive line might be where they're looking at in the first round here. This also, sneaky pick. I could see this being Matthew Golden or Lutheran Bader as well. I really could. But I am just going to go offensive line. You have Paris Johnson Jr. on the right side. I know that they also have Jonah Williams as well. But Jonah Williams hasn't been the best and hasn't stayed healthy and is getting up there in age. Kellen Banks Jr. can play guard this year, or maybe you have him play tackle and have Jonah Williams go into guard. You can never improve the offensive line, and I know the Cardinals have yet to re-sign Will Hernandez, which a lot of people are saying, why don't you go do that? Cardinals haven't done it yet. Maybe it's because they're looking to get younger on the offensive line in the draft. Bengals here at 17, Micah Williams is still on the board. Micah Williams is going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals. It looks like Trey Hendrickson's gone. You need edge help. Micah Williams is the best edge rusher on the board. Kind of a no-brainer. Seattle Seahawks here at pick 18. They need offensive line help as well. A lot of teams going offensive line early here, so a lot of these other teams later down the line might be screwed. The best offensive lineman left on the board would either be Tyler Booker or Josh Simmons from Ohio State. It's just really what you prefer here. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, would you prefer a tackle and Josh Simmons or a true guard and Tyler Booker? We'll go Tyler Booker here for now. You just got Sam Darnold. You need to protect Sam Darnold. Tyler Booker, very good guard from Bama. He cannot slide out to tackle. He is not athletic at all, but he's very good at pass blocking and pretty good at run blocking for Alabama, and he'll be an upgrade for the Seattle Seahawks. Who knows how much of a ceiling he has, but he's a high floor, low ceiling play kind of guy who you know is going to be pretty good for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at 19. I've always gone Jaheed Campbell for the Buccaneers, but he's not here. Might as well get Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker is definitely much more of a pass rusher than Jaheed Campbell is, but Jalen Walker can still also drop back as well. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who run a 3-4 defense, I think Jalen Walker will fit in very nicely for him. Then you got the Denver Broncos here at pick 20. I think Matthew Golden makes a lot of sense for the Denver Broncos. They had a great free agency. They signed a ton of good defensive pieces. So you got to get better. You got to get Bo Nix more weapons. Matthew Golden is considered to be the most well-rounded wide receiver in this draft class. He is really fast, and while he doesn't really excel at anything besides speed, he is a great player all around. He doesn't have like the height of Tedero McMillan. He isn't as fast as Lutheran Bader, but he's just so good at everything he does. A lot like Ikem Ekwonu. I think Ikem Ekwonu is very similar in that way. Just Matthew Golden is just a little bit faster, a little bit more polished. But that's kind of what Matthew Golden has going for him, is he's just a little bit quicker and just a smidge better, but not much, not much. We'll see what happens later down the line, but this is just pre-draft process. Pittsburgh Steelers here at 21. And I'm going to go Hampton from North Carolina here. Steelers right now don't have a running back. I guess they have Jalen Warren, but they let Najee Harris walk. And Hampton is a really damn good running back from North Carolina. He can do it all. He's a 3-down back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Really fast, really strong. His issue, honestly, is that just Ashton Genty's in the draft class. That really is Hampton's biggest flaw, is that Ashton Genty is here. Ashton Genty just does so many things so much better than every other running back that when you compare Hampton to Genty, Genty's clearly better. However, Hampton is really, really damn good. He's just a little bit worse at everything than Genty is. I believe he's bigger than Genty. Yeah, 5'11", very, very athletic. But then if you go over to Ashton Genty here, you know, Ashton Genty is a little bit smaller, weighs a little bit less. Ashton Genty did not go to the combine. But Hampton, I think, will be a great fit there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need a running back. I believe Hampton could go in the first round. He does have first-round potential. Then you have the Chargers here. Chargers need help offensively, and I absolutely love Lutheran Bader for the Chargers. You already have your slot guy who can go catch the ball in Ladd McConkey. You re-sign Mike Williams, who will be your number one big target threat. You now just need speed. That's Lutheran Bader. Now, while Mike Williams isn't the best wide receiver in the world, again, like I said, there isn't really a go-up-and-get-it kind of wide receiver that you're going to take in the first round. Besides Tedero McMillan, he's long off the board. Go get your guy a really fast wide receiver. Luther Invader is basically what Quentin Johnson is supposed to be. Quentin Johnson was supposed to be this amazing yards after catch guy who was also 6'4" and can bulldoze over people. Luther Invader is that guy. He is a true yards after catch master. Quentin Johnson just continues to be disappointing. You need to continue just to get more threats and targets for Justin Herbert. I love the speed that Luther Invader offers. This also very easily could be Colston Loveton. Like, let's be real here. In fact, I probably should have picked Colston Loveton, but let's just switch it up. Doesn't always have to be the same exact thing. That gets boring from time to time. Green Bay Packers here at 23. I am going to go Jaheed Barron here from Texas. He's probably not thrilled that he is going to the cold here. And while I don't really think that that's a player that the Packers will draft, I also don't think the other players on the board here are really players that scream Green Bay. Like James Pierce Jr., no. Derek Harmon, no. Maybe Walter Nolan, but the Green Bay Packers are letting Jaire Alexander walk. You need to get better at corner. Go draft the best corner available. Minnesota Vikings here at 24. I love Nick Amenewu to the Minnesota Vikings. He's a true strong safety, athletic freak, big hitter. Obviously, the Vikings just lost Cameron Byam in free agency. This is your replacement for him, and you need to get better in the secondary as well. Houston Texans here at 25. Sleeper pick is Colston Loveton. I believe that they still do have Dalton Schultz on their roster, but I know he is getting up there in age. However, the offensive line for the Houston Texans is so bad right now, they've kind of just obliterated their offensive line, and the only real true first-round talent here left in the offensive line is Josh Simmons. So I'm just going to go and get ahead and draft him to the Texans here. They need help at tackle. Josh Simmons can plug in and instantly be left or right tackle, but he was a left tackle at Ohio State. You just need to get better. You traded away Laramie Tunsil. What are you doing? They must like some guys in the draft. And the Los Angeles Rams here, I am going to go Siobhan Reevil for the Rams. We all know that the Rams have a great defensive line. Their secondary just needs to improve a little bit. I really like Siobhan Reevil. He will be a first-round pick, in my opinion. I'm not too worried about his injury. I know that he and his camp isn't either. They said he's going to be good to go for training camp. He had a long-term injury this year. But again, just like some of the other guys I've mentioned, he had such a good sophomore year that I don't think it's going to matter too much, and he should still be a first-round pick. And with the Rams already having a great front seven, get better in the secondary, get the best corner available. Then the Baltimore Ravens here at 27. James Pierce Jr. has kind of just fallen into their lap. I don't really know how he's fallen this much. James Pierce Jr. is such an athletic freak. He is so good off the edge, so explosive. He can get to the pass rusher immediately. Like we've seen with the Eagles, and like I've said, defensive line and having a good defensive line can completely screw up another team. Look at how good the Rams and the Eagles were this year because of how dominant their defensive line was. You can never have too many edge rushers. James Pierce Jr. is just best player available. He probably should have gone in the teens, and he falls to the Ravens here at 27, which allows the Detroit Lions here at 28 to go with Mike Green out of Marshall. There are apparently some concerns with Mike Green right now, maybe some off-the-field stuff. Not really going to comment on that too much. I know he was getting hype of going in the teens, and then that report came out, but I'm pretty sure that happened years ago. You never know in the NFL, right? But what I know on the field is Mike Green, I believe, had 15 sacks at Marshall and was absolutely dominant this year. The Detroit Lions would love to have someone across from Aiden Hutchinson, and I think if anyone can whip him into shape from a character perspective, it can be Dan Campbell. Now, the Washington Commanders here at pick 29, they've just made so many moves that I believe defense is still what they are looking at here. It's just, what do you do defensively? I think this could still be a defensive tackle, but an edge rusher makes sense, but back-to-back edge rushers just went off the board. Will 3 safeties go in the first round? I really do like Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. I really do. Just, are we going to get 3 safeties in the first round? It's actually really tough. This Commanders pick is like the hardest pick for me. I do see Nick Scarronton here. He is still good as well. Washington also could still go wide receiver too. That still is an option. While, yes, you obviously have Terry McLaurin, and yes, you now have Deebo Samuel. Both those guys are a little bit older there in age. You know what? Ikem Ekwonu is still here on the board. He's a first-round talent. I'll give him to the Commanders and just continue to give Jayden Daniels more threats. Then the Buffalo Bills here at pick 30. Multiple defensive tackles still here. Derek Harmon from Oregon and Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. I am going to go with Walter Nolan here. I believe that, again, there are some character issues, but he was the #1 prospect coming out of high school, and he could be a really good player. You put him next to Ed Oliver on that Buffalo's Bills defensive line, that could be a really good 1-2 punch from the defensive tackle perspective. And then the Chiefs here at 31, with so many offensive linemen being drafted, and the Chiefs only having Chris Jones at defensive tackle, why not give him Derek Harmon and put him next to Chris Jones? Just like the same exact thing with the Buffalo Bills. You get a good young defensive tackle to put next to your veteran defensive tackle and can just wreak havoc on the defensive line. And then the Philadelphia Eagles here at pick 32. This literally could be best player available. The Eagles are so stacked that this truly could be anything. It's just like, honestly, close your eyes and take a pick here. Oh, I could go Jackson Dart. I'm not going to. But this could just be so many things. In fact, the Eagles probably trade down here or just to acquire more picks. I know the Eagles are going to have a ton of picks in next year's class. So maybe the Eagles try to get even more picks for next year and trade up and just get a superstar, just make their team even more powerful. Again, like I said, this could be so many things here. Might as well just go Benjamin Morris. I don't know what to say. The hardest picks for me are this Commanders picks and the Eagles picks, just because they're so good, and it's like none of the players really improve their team that much, if that makes sense. Anyways, guys, here's been my mock draft post free agency. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my takes down below. Next time I do a mock draft, it will be with trades, so let me know if there's any trades you want to see. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please leave a comment on how I can improve these videos for you guys, and peace out.